This is the most advanced fighter jet in the world, and we've made a video on it on our channel. Since this is the most advanced fighter jet we can find right now, what would happen if we take it back to World War I? Let's go and find out. We're not here to tell you about the specifications of the F-22 because we've explained that already. But all we have to say is that the F-22 was exclusively designed to be better than any other Russian aircraft. But let's enter the time machine and go back to the year 1917 in Europe. First of all, the F-22 looks a certain way that people back then can't even imagine. The sound that it produces must be terrifying for the soldiers in the battlefield. The thing that will most likely happen is the people in 1917 will probably think this is some type of UFO from outer space, because no country at that time has the technology to produce something like this. If we want to compare the F-22 to the best fighters back then, it's not even comparable. It's like comparing an AK-47 to a sword. The best fighter in World War I is this, the Fokker D-7. In World War I, this was the most successful plane, and you can't compare it to any other fighter back then. The Fokker D-7 only flew for 6 months in World War I, but in this very short period of time, it killed 565 planes with success. A lot of historians believe that if the German army had access to this plane from the beginning, the result of the war would be very different, and Germany would most likely not be defeated. When this fighter was ready, it was already too late. But in that very short period of time, it showed why it was the best fighter in World War I, and that is why it's named the best fighter in World War I. You could kind of compare this to Messerschmitt 262 from World War II. That was the best fighter jet in World War II. This plane also got to the war very late, and if you want to see the complete video about it, we've made it before. But let's get back to the F-22. Anything we explained about the Fokker D-7, the D-7 is pretty much like a pile of junk, and it belongs in the trash can. Let's see how the F-22 will perform in World War I. Unfortunately, this fighter jet is not going to do much in that war, and it really cannot change the results. But why? It's the most advanced fighter jet in the world. The F-22 is designed to fight modern 21st century fighter jets, not airplanes made 100 years ago. Another reason is that it is the most advanced fighter jet, and that's why each hour it flies is extremely expensive, about $85,000 an hour. The F-22 has one of the most advanced radar systems in the world, but the system is designed for the 21st century, and in 1917 it's considered useless, and it can't even communicate with other aircrafts. Flying this thing for 12 hours will buy you a small apartment in New York or a giant mansion anywhere else. You have to note that when the Pentagon ordered this plane from Lockheed Martin, they basically gave him a blank check, and the plan was, whatever it costs, just do it and make it the best fighter aircraft the world has ever seen. We just need something that will beat any Russian plane out there. When the F-22 was being developed, the Soviet Union was still around. But when it collapsed, they realized that the threat is no longer there, and they lowered the production numbers of the F-22. And that is why we have an extremely advanced aircraft with a lot of problems. Let's get back to World War I to see how we can fight with this. Something important we can't forget is that we need about 20 personnel to go along with the aircraft, and these consist of pilots, engineers, and technicians. If these people aren't there, nobody can fly the F-22. If nobody comes along with the F-22, it's like a very advanced alien dropping off a UFO in the middle of the street and then leaving. For us to figure out how it works, it's gonna take a lifetime. If the people back then even see the engine of this aircraft, their mind will be blown. Once they hear the noise of these aircraft, they might start running away. An idea pops up that if you want to scare the soldiers, just fly this above them and make all the noise you can. The noise could be scary enough, but at least in 1917, they'll most likely run away, or worst case, they might start shooting at the F-22. The more we look at it, the more we realize that the F-22 is not a good idea for World War I, because the most expensive system on this plane is the anti-radar system, something that doesn't even matter in 1917. The first radar system was designed in 1935, and it was not even close to being as advanced as it is today. Another huge issue is the fuel. The planes back then used regular gasoline, and you can't put it in the F-22 because it's designed to take jet fuel, which is a type of kerosene. And the planes back then were piston engine, and they just took regular gasoline. When fighters take off nowadays, there's usually a duo, but back then, there were tens of airplanes flying at the same time. And if they're confronted with the F-22, they'll most likely start trying to shoot it. The F-22 can maneuver out of the way because it's very advanced, but for how long? Especially when 80 aircrafts are shooting at them simultaneously. Even if it wants to use its missile, it's not going to be that effective. Every day there's being bombs dropped everywhere, and a couple really advanced missile systems from an F-22 is not really going to make a difference. It's weird, isn't it? We have a $220 million aircraft, and it really can't do much in that war. It's like fighting with a bee next to an army of ants. Another huge issue is that the F-22 will have speed problems because the fighters in World War I are extremely slow. Just like we said, the most advanced and fastest aircraft back then was the Fokker D-7, and that only went about 116 miles an hour, and there wasn't just one or two of them. How can the F-22 stay behind them? Because the F-22 cannot slow down that hard. If the F-22 slows down too much, there is a risk of stalling and turning the engine off, and that's why it will have trouble staying behind an aircraft and shooting at it. It is true that the aircrafts back then didn't really have advanced weapon systems, but they had a machine gun up front that had a whole lot of ammo, and it could shoot for a few minutes, while the F-22 has rounds for less than 10 seconds. This technology is amazing for the F-22 when it's confronted with a very advanced fighter, and it could attack from behind, but not a 100-year-old dinosaur flying. We put all this effort in, we made a time machine, we took the F-22 100 years back, but unfortunately we couldn't be successful. It might have been a better idea to take an AK-47 rather than an F-22 because it would have been much more effective in that war. An automatic light assault rifle was not available in 1917, and if the engineers back then got their hands on an AK-47 this early, they could have reverse engineered it and made copies of it. But they couldn't even figure out what the screw of the F-22 is made of. But if we have a time machine like this, we could take an assault rifle anytime in history, and that would change history forever. In your opinion, what would be the coolest year to take the AK-47? Please comment.